Tonight on Joy News Prime, doctors and nurses at the Komfo Teaching Hospital in Kumasi are kicking against a move by management to introduce face masks made from textile fabric for clinical duties.
Your managers tell you to use a cloth mask in theater on the wards. They will always tell you it's been approved by FDA. They should provide the evidence. They said FDA. They should provide the evidence so that we scrutinize it.
The Food and Drugs authorities are however vouching for the textile fabric face mask. It satisfies, saying they are just as good as the medical ones. 57 workers on Talo Ghana's contractor support vessel CSV Lancelot's test positive for COVID-19.
Actually, screen everybody find out whether they can get out of more cases. And they did so, and then we had over 50 cases. That's at now there are 7 cases that are positive.
Also in this bulletin, more than 20 people feared dead after a boat they were traveling in capsized on the Volta Lake at Sokwe, a suburb of Donkokrom in the Afram Plains North District of the Eastern Region. And in business,
scientists discover high concentration of mercury in soil and water in mining communities following illegal mining activities.
High readings of a maximum of 3.50 milligram per kilogram. This tells us that there's a high content of mercury in.
And as the world battles the COVID-19 pandemic, menstrual hygiene has become more urgent than before. We bring you a story of a 15-year-old from the central region town of Kisi who has never used a sanitary pad before, but uses her clothes whenever she menstruates.
I always use my clothes. I use my old dirty clothes whenever I am menstruating.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. I'm coming to you live from the Joy News Studios in Kokomlemle. Digital address is 09925339. The bulletin is also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Remember, we're also free to air because we are on DTT. Ejolai will join later in the bulletin. Many thanks for choosing us. We begin straight from the Ashanti region, where doctors and nurses at the Komfo Teaching Hospital are kicking against a move by management to introduce face masks made from textile fabrics for clinical duties. Leadership of the Ghana Medical Association and the Ghana Registered Nurses Association insist the use of unapproved and unsafe protective gear will endanger the lives of their members. Love News has intercepted a jointly signed letter by the two groups in protest of the management decision they describe as dangerous. Ashanti Regional Chairman of GMA, Dr. Parkway Sibedu, has been speaking with Erastus Osari Donko, who filed this report.
Demand for good quality personal protective equipment for health workers has soared with the emergence of COVID-19. Many frontliners have been exposed to risk of infection, with 20 of them having tested positive to the virus so far in the region. A letter dated 24th April 2020 by the Trauma and Orthopedic Directorate notified all clinical teams of availability of cloth masks, particularly for staff at low-risk COVID-19 areas of work. The announcement has been met with stiff resistance from the front of the various health staff associations. A written response dated 22nd May 2020 by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association registers their disagreement to the use of cloth masks for clinical duties. Leaders demanded scientific evidence of effectiveness of cloth masks in preventing infections in such environment. Dr. Parkway Sibedu is regional president of the Ghana Medical Association.
I agree with the GRNA. We were urging the various hospitals, nurses, doctors, to insist on getting the right PPEs. Because as you remember, Ghana Health Service is wondering why so many healthcare professionals are getting the viruses. And if you talk to the administrators, they will tell you nurses, doctors, pharmacists, or healthcare workers in general are not getting the viruses from the hospital. You see, they are denying it, trying to, when you tell me they don't think those who had it got it from the hospital, you are shifting the blame. And it's on this basis that I, as the divisional chairman of the Ghana Medical Association, and based on the evidence that is available, we're demanding that if you, whichever hospital you may be in Ghana, when your managers tell you to use a cloth mask in theater on the wards, they will always tell you it's been approved by FDA. And I associate myself with what the nurses, the Ghana Registered Nurses Association has written. They should provide the evidence. They said FDA. They should provide the evidence so that we scrutinize it. When was the test done? Sample size. What was the methodology? So that we can scrutinize this. And if it meets the criteria for safety, then we can do it. But it's not just enough saying FDA has approved it. Mind you, use the cloth mask, the white ones that are being given the hospitals. Use it and see whether it will be easy breathing through this. And I just finished a 5-hour surgery. If you have that one, I'm sure by the time you are done with it, you'll be sick yourself, because you see, exchange of oxygen is so difficult. So you may be taking in the carbon dioxide you are breathing.
Hospital management will not immediately comment, but close sources say adoption of the cloth masks is backed by authorization by the Food and Drugs Authority. Dr. Park Kwesibedu, however, insists such approval is not enough.
The list, you see, we will all prefer the N95 with the goggles, screen, and all that. But if it's not available, the list we will demand, or we are asking for, is this surgical mask. This is not even foolproof. Some research will tell you viruses can even pass through this. And what's more of the cloth mask? So they should make sure they protect their workforce.
A 2015 randomized trial of cloth and medical masks for healthcare workers by physicians at Kirby Institute at the University of New South Wales found higher rates of infection in cloth masks. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
Dr. Titus Bayo is the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. He joins us via phone for more on this. Good evening to you, Dr. Titus Bayo. Thanks so much for joining us.
If you look on the screen, does it look okay?
Dr. Bayo, good evening and thanks for joining us on Joy Prime.
I'm Benny.
Joy News Prime.
Oh, okay. So they will be picking you.
Hello, Dr. Titus Bayo. You are on Joy News Prime. What is the position of the National Ghana Medical Association on the use of cloth face mask?
Hello?
It's obvious we're having a little challenge. We'll try and fix that and bring in Dr. Titus Bayo on this matter. We'll also bring in the FDA to also join in the conversation. I'm told Dr. Titus Bayo is back on the line. Good evening to you, Dr. Titus Bayo. If you can hear me, I'm asking for the position of the GMA on the use of cloth face mask in hospitals. We're having a terrible connection there. We'll try and get it back, but still on Joy News Prime. Lack of space in compelling authorities at the psychiatry department of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital to run its pharmacy from a pantry. A section of the specialist outpatient department pharmacy canteen is also used to store and distribute drugs. The situation raises serious concern, especially about the adherence to COVID-19 protocols. Nana Ojima visited the facility and has filed this report.
Two people who man the pharmacy here struggle to maintain an appreciable distance between them. Through a small window, they manage to serve hundreds of patients who visit the facility on a daily basis. So this is actually supposed to be a kitchen for one of the departments here at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. But due to space challenges, part of it is now being used as a pharmacy for the psychiatry unit. Not all the essential medicine are able to be stocked here due to space. Dr. Courage Danku is senior specialist in psychiatry pharmacy. He has been speaking to me about impact of this on the pharmacy.
There is huge instance of medication adverse effects, especially with the psychotropics. So we will need a space to meet these patients and then the caregivers, even on OPD basis, to be able to interact and explain and give them insight into the whatever chemical they are taking. And the space even now, hitherto, is also too small to even accommodate 2 professionals in the room, let alone the patient.
From the balcony of the building, a seated client interacts with the doctor who is in his office. It is another improvised consulting space, at least to speed up work under such challenging circumstances. In one of the rooms, I find 2 doctors share one table. 2 screens separate them from occupational therapists on one side and the room for nurses on the other. 3 doctors use the conference room here in breach of patient-doctor privacy and confidentiality. Head of Psychiatry Unit, Dr. Ruth Oswentry, speaks about the impact on healthcare delivery.
People come and they want to get the privacy to share the full-fledged of their troubles and their problems. But if they turn left, right, and there's another patient sitting in a hearing distance, then they keep some of the symptoms within. We have a problem with space for even our occupational therapists. Some people just go through some form of trauma that they are unable to speak about their problem. The art therapist takes them through drawing such that they draw whatever they are going through on paper without even talking. She has to sometimes wait till all the OPD clinic is done before she starts her services. And some people will not find the time favorable.
Both male and female wards accommodate just 11 patients, as many of those who require admission are managed from home.
This is the only specialist psychiatric unit in the entire of the Middle Belt going up to the north. We even get cases coming in from neighboring countries. But when they have come all the way here and the patient's condition is severe, that needs admission, for instance, there are times the ward is full and we may have to turn this patient away. We may ask them, go back, use this medication, come back in a week's time. Maybe by that time there will be space on the ward. Or sometimes they come back in even a worse form than they came.
The psychological impact of COVID-19 has resulted in increasing attendance at the facility. So what responsibility does this place on caregivers? Dr. Daniel Fojo attempts an answer.
We need to have particular facilities to give the best psychological services that can be given. In itself, we can actually give the psychological services that is the top-notch, international standards. We sometimes find it's so difficult to give some of these ones, so we try to do preliminary ones.
Until something drastic is done, space will continue to be a challenge for the center responsible for proper mental function, even post-COVID-19. From Kumasi for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
I'm back here in the studio and in Accra. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Let's get back to our earlier story where nurses and doctors at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital are kicking against the use of cloth mask for surgical activities. Dr. Titus Bayo is the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Doc, thanks for joining us on Joy News Prime. What's the position of the GMA on the use of cloth face mask? Dr. Bayo, you're on Joy News Prime, and the question is your position on the use of face mask that is made of cloth by frontline health workers.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to our viewers. Indeed, the GMA's attention has been drawn
Dr. Bayo, you are still on air and we can hear you clearly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Hello.
Dr. Bayo, we can hear you on Joy News Prime. And if you can hear me, my question is what your position is on the use of cloth face mask by frontline health workers.
Okay, so the attention of the GMA has been drawn to the concerns raised by our members in the Ashanti division. Our initial So our attention has been drawn to the concerns raised by our members in the Ashanti division. And our initial comment is that we ask them to remain calm. The Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, is a very credible organization. And we respect very much decisions made by the FDA. And we know these decisions will not be taken lightly. And we will therefore appeal for calm. We think there is some break in communication between the Ministry of Health and its employees. The FDA have certified some masks, and there are different types of cloth masks available. So it is our expectation that the Ministry of Health, in distributing these masks, will clarify and provide the certification associated with these masks. In the absence of that, then people will be relying on data from other international bodies, such as the WHO, the CDC, which suggests generally that cloth masks may not be suitable. But we have different grades of cloth masks. And if our FDA has certified these cloth masks, it is our opinion that they will indeed be good because the FDA is very credible. But we need to establish good communication so that we can look at the evidence submitted by FDA. And FDA should also give us the clarity on the type of masks, where it can be used and when it cannot be used. And this information should be made available alongside with the masks. And it should be possible for us to identify the genuine marks coming from the Ministry of Health and the associated certification by the FDA and what they are designated to be used for. This is what we think should be done. So we will appeal for calm from our members. We have made contact with the FDA since this issue came up. The FDA makes us understand that they have furnished the ministry with all this information. And so we'll be required to send the same information from the Ministry of Health so that we can forward same to all our members across the country so that they can know when to use what type of masks that has been certified by the FDA of Ghana.
Let me bring in Joseph Yaobeni, who is head of Medical Devices Department at the Food and Drugs Authority. Good evening to you. Many thanks for your time on Joy News Prime. You are saying that you've certified this kind of cloth face mask for frontline health workers. How sure are you of its effectiveness?
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Bani. Mr. Benny, you are on Joy News Prime. Mr. Benny, you are on Joy News Prime, and my question to you is that the doctors are complaining about this cloth face mask for frontline health workers. You say you have certified it. How sure are you of its effectiveness?
Hello.
We'll try and fix that. There's some break in there. We'll try and fix that and bring back this very important interview. We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. When we come back, there is more. Please do stay.
You're welcome back to Joy News Prime. And as the world battles the COVID-19 pandemic, menstrual hygiene has become an even more urgent issue than before. In many rural communities, many girls continue to go through heartbreaking challenges whenever they menstruate. Richard Kwejo traveled to the central region town of Kisii to speak with a 15-year-old class 6 pupil who has never used a sanitary towel before, but uses her cloths whenever she menstruates. He has more in this report.
Meet Georgina, 15 years of age and a class 6 pupil. At age 7, Georgina says she took her mother's 100 Ghana cedis and was driven out of the house. She thus became a street girl. Ever since she started menstruating, her used clothes have been there for her. She's never used a pad before until recently because she could not afford a sanitary pad. I always use my clothes. I use my old dirty clothes whenever I am menstruating.
For how long?
The class 6 pupil misses classes throughout the period of her menstruation because she fears she might soil herself. I used to fetch firewood in order to survive. I had to go through a lot before I could get food to eat. I had to reject many proposals from boys. Dorothy is another girl from the same community. For her, her father has been there to support her. She never lacks sanitary pads whenever she has her period. In this community of Kisii and other rural communities, the story of Georgina resonates. International Needs Ghana, UNICEF, and other partners on the Menstrual Hygiene Day decided to put smiles on the faces of such girls in rural communities by supporting them with sanitary pads for 3 months and other things that could empower them. Vera Elikem Aouye is with International Needs.
Always become victims of adolescent pregnancy or child marriage and also sexual and gender-based violence. But through the safe spaces which we started in 2018 with support from UNICEF and UNFPA, girls like her have been empowered with information to make more healthy and positive decisions for themselves. And so if you listen to her account, even though at the age of 7 years started taking care of herself because she had been abandoned, we realized that the information kept her going. And you can see she's, apart from some issues that need to be addressed, she's a very empowered girl and she knows what she wants for herself. And that's what we want to see. We want to see more girls being empowered, making positive and healthy decisions for themselves.
International Needs Ghana is supporting such children in school and helping them develop their skills. The menstrual package was not only given to girls in Kisii, but other places and communities in the central region that lack of sanitary pads is promoting what they call transactional sex. Richard Kwejo, Joy News, Cape Coast.
More than 20 people are feared dead after a boat they were traveling in capsized on the Volta Lake at Sokwa, a suburb of Donkokrom in the Afram Plains North District of the Eastern Region. The boat was said to be traveling across the Volta Lake from Germany in the Sujaman district to Donkokrom when it capsized in a violent windstorm Thursday evening. Assemblyman for Aneji electoral area, Raphael Poha, says a rescue team of mostly fishermen has been able to find one of the victims while a search continues for the rest. Now, Kofi Sian joins me via Zoom for more on this. Kofi Sian, we understand NADMO joined in the search. What more can you tell us?
Assemblyman for the area told me just some few hours before that since NADMO visited them yesterday when the incident happened, they haven't come to the area again to join the residents in search of the people who have drowned in the water. So that is the situation now, and this is a story or a confirmation coming from the assemblyman for the area. And he says that since they started the search, he has been sponsoring the rescue mission, and he's calling for support from the district assembly and the National Disaster Management Organization because he says he's run out of money. Hello?
So what is happening to the search right now?
Well, since they started yesterday evening, they have only been successful in rescuing or finding one of the many people who have drowned in the lake. So as of now, a few hours ago when I spoke with him, he says they haven't been successful in finding the rest. So they are still on the lake looking for the rest of the victims.
All right, so it means they haven't abandoned the search yet?
No, they haven't abandoned, but he says they may soon do that because he's run out of cash.
All right, thank you very much. But please stay tuned in. I mean, keep following the story for us, and if there's any updates, you can share that with us. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break at this point. We're bringing you business news in a bit. To stay tuned in.
Time now for business. Sandra Prene is here with the very latest. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Sha. We're going to talk about Galamsey and the impact it's having on mining.
And we're hearing of mercury and other stuff in,
they use mercury
in those areas. That's very dangerous.
I know,
for us.
right?
Take it away, Sandra.
All right. Celebrating 25 years of joy. My name is Sandra and I'm here for business. Scientists have discovered high concentration of mercury in soil and water in mining communities as illegal operations continue to ravage the environment. An analysis of soil in the Pratt River Basin has discovered deteriorating quality despite government restrictions on Galamsey. Nana Yaojima has been engaging researcher at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Eugene Ansa, in the following report.
This is a Lumex mercury analyzer, and this is its pyro attachment. The pyro attachment is meant to paralyze the soil sample for the mercury to be transformed into the vapor form, and then it is then detected by the instrument.
Soil samples from illegal mining sites at Dunkwao on Ofin, a year after easing the ban on illegal mining, have undergone drying, ready for testing. The examination will determine the concentration of mercury in the soil. Mercury is widely used and poorly managed by these miners. From the monitors, as a layman, I see readings peaking quickly. This is how Mr. Ansa interprets the readings.
So the reading we are getting for the soil sample that we've run high readings of a maximum of 3.50 milligram per kilogram in that soil sample we have analyzed. This tells us that there's a high content of mercury in there. So the standard that we are comparing it to is 0.3 milligram per kilogram. And this is from the USCP.
Even though these readings are taken from the soil, they have long-standing effect on the river Ofin. Mr. Ansa explains use of mercury by alluvial and illegal miners combined to contaminate the water.
Now, if you are mining within the water body, it means that you are disturbing the ecosystem within the immediate ecosystem or the immediate environment. Once you disturb it, it will bring up a lot of these sand particles into the water, and it will make it unclear in the first place.
Research classifies mercury as a highly toxic element, either introduced into the environment or occurring naturally. When ingested into the human body through feeding, it damages the central nervous system, exposing the human body to many diseases. To mitigate the impact of mining on the river bodies, the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining is tracking alluvial miners in river bodies. The committee is working together with the Small-Scale Mining Task Force. Bracey Ando leads the task force.
For these illegal dredgers, they are living in our community. They are living with us. So what the advice that I will give is that the opinion leaders in the town, they should tell them that they should leave, because I think they are staying with us. They know what is going on.
About 200 dredging boats were destroyed on the River Ofin in the central region. But how long will it take for dredgers to make a return? The question will remain unanswered for a long time. From Bunkwao, for Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
World Bank operational consultant Michael Nanafuri has charged the Business Development Ministry to introduce more robust support schemes for startups. Michael Nanafuri says such systems should be possible besides stimulus package for existing businesses. He tells Prince Apia Ghana's economy will see a quick but temporary recovery as the effects of the pandemic may take a long while to heal.
And as it stands now, we cannot actually promise a speed or a fast recovery with regards to our economy. But as we keep lifting the bands, the recovery is going to be slow, but for a start, it's going to receive a temporal boom.
The uncertainty that will still prevail among businesses. Why would that be so? I thought businesses will begin to go all out after things get back to normal.
Businesses are still going to space out workers. Unemployment is still going to be effective. People are still going to lay people off because of how this disease or this virus travels. People are going to face that fear, and so let's be mindful of that. As we move on, as the government may try to reopen the economy, still businesses are going to face that fear. Borrowing is certainly going to increase. It means that now if you don't have a job, then you have to think of earning a living, the right way. And so now when it happens, like, people are coming up with ideas. Now people are learning how to, do this nose mask, hand sanitizers and all.
So what should governments do in this space to support those who might venture into entrepreneurship or start their own business?
It is actually sending a signal to the government and the Ministry of Business Development that entrepreneurship needs to be taken care of. So there should be policies put in place to support entrepreneurship.
And speaking of assisting businesses, government is to roll out economic rescue program to help businesses during the pandemic. Details plus more coming up in the Business News Summary.
The government is developing a 3-year COVID-19 alleviation program to be known as the Ghana Cares Program to help rescue the economy from the clutches of a coronavirus pandemic. The impact of a coronavirus disease on the Ghanaian economy could last for 3 years, the government has predicted. To address this, the president has directed the Ministry of Finance to come up with a stabilization and a revitalization plan for the country. President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, has described government's 3% interest on the 600 million Ghana cedi stimulus package to support micro, small and medium enterprises as a free gift. The interest rate on the package, he said, is feasible due to the 1-year moratorium and a 2-year repayment period for MSMEs. Dr. Obeng noted that this giveaway from government was far better than that of some banks, who have pegged their interest rate between 22 to 25%. Consumers of petroleum products are likely to pay more for the fuel they purchase at the various pumps in the first pricing window in June. That's according to energy think tank, the Institute of Energy Security, IES. The Institute of Energy Security explained that per its analysis, it expects the prices of fuel on the domestic market to go up and above April 2020 levels. IES attributes this to the 23.25% surge in price of Brent crude oil, in addition to the 41.80% and 22.68% significant rise in the price of gasoline and gas oil, respectively, on the international market.
That will be it for now. I'm back after 8 p.m. with more business news update. Thanks so much for watching.
Time now for showbiz. Becky is here with the very latest. Hi, Becky.
Hello to you.
Beautiful lady in green.
Yeah, rapper raps. But do you know that Sarkodie's daughter is following she's following her father's footsteps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. So today, Sarkodie posted something on Twitter, and it's been trending. TT. Let's listen to TT's rap.
And how old is she?
I think she's 4 now. Or
4 years.
3, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't give birth to Nasi. Nasi's a gospel musician. He's also a sound engineer. He wants to be known for sound engineers because he produces songs and all that. We, throw the spotlight on him. For all that he's been doing. He's been answering a couple of questions as well. So,
great guy, Nasi.
On Spotlight today.
I was once a church boy. I was sleeping in the church, and I always say that the first in the church and also last to leave. And then also ask me that where am I living? I don't have any other place to live. The church is the place where that is my bedroom, my kitchen. My beginning, it wasn't that easy. Too many sicknesses and stuff like that. But today, I'm able to shape our life and then preserve us till the whole thing started. I dreamt that somebody is teaching me, sound engineer. I was sitting in front of computer and then this education started coming. So I started moving around other studios and trying to get some physical ideas about what I've seen in the
That was Nasi right there, that the song
and
Bible.
My favorite girl, Miss V. And she's doing so well for herself. I like her so much. And she says what?
She says
you would only fail if you're afraid to take risks. And I think I agree perfectly with that.
And I want to just keep everybody quiet by saying this thing. You will only fail if you are afraid, and I am not afraid.
Wow.
At all.
I love that. Can you repeat that for me?
You will only fail if you can only succeed if you take risks. That's when you find where the success is.
Yeah.
I am not scared at all. At all. It's about learning, asking questions. If you don't know, ask a question. And do what you have to do.
Well, I'm not surprised because I've always said that she sounds like the former First Lady, Nana Konadu
get them together.
So if she's strong, of course, she's also a strong woman. So Miss V, thumbs up for all the good work.
And that's what I leave you with today.
Thank you so much for bringing us Showbiz, Becky.
Anytime, Aisha.
And sports is up next. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And the case of physical abuse of a 3-year-old boy by his father in Kumasi took a dramatic twist on Thursday when prosecutors opted to withdraw trial from the circuit court to a high court. The Attorney General office has taken over prosecution of Little Junior's father, who allegedly whipped the child with a belt and cable. It followed the circuit court's presiding judge, Patricia Mponsa, rejection of the accused caution and written statements of the child and her mother at a case management conference. Love FM's Rasta Sasaridonko was in court and has filed this report.
As the little boy begins his journey to recovery, so is the road to justice for the alleged torment at the hands of his father. Ebenezer Osei-Bonsu, who allegedly whipped him with a belt and cable wire, was granted bail in his first appearance in court, but is yet to meet the bail conditions. At the last in-camera case management conference, the caution statement of the accused, written statements of the victim and his mother were rejected by the presiding judge. The court also refused a request by the defense lawyer for psychiatric evaluation of the accused.
Today's proceedings was very brief. When the judge sat in court, the case was called and the prosecutor, Superintendent Regina Oparibia, stood up and introduced an officer from the Attorney General's department, and she indicated to the court that they had wanted to withdraw the case from the circuit court to the high court. But then the counsel for the accused was not present in court today, so she wants a very short adjournment so that the counsel for the accused will be present and they will be able to move the case from the circuit court to the high court. The reason for withdrawing the case from the current court was not stated. So the judge granted her request and set an adjournment date from the 2nd of June for that to take place. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
I'm back here in Accra and in the studio. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. 57 workers on Ghana's contractor support vessel CSV Lancelot have tested positive for COVID-19. Western Regional Director of Health, Dr. Jacob Mahama, noted that infected persons are being isolated in Accra and Takoradi. The Western region currently has 395 known infections out of Ghana's 7,616 cases. Here's the Western Regional Director of Health, Dr. Jacob Mahama, speaking to Joy News after an emergency meeting with the Western Regional Minister.
We have some crew on board the vessel that are actually tested positive for COVID-19. Yeah, they just initially two, and then who had symptoms again for COVID-19. So they're flown to Accra where the samples were taken, and then they turned out positive. And then they decided they're going to actually screen everybody and find out whether they can get out of more cases. And they did so, and then we had over 50 cases. That's at now there are 57 cases that are positive. So now we're trying to isolate them so that they don't actually mingle with the other staff. But then it turned out that they have an agreement with the contractors.
The Islamic way of prayers and worship will change after the restriction on mass gathering in mosque, and if it's lifted. That is according to spokesperson of the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arime Al-Shaibu, speaking to Joy News during a Zoom line disinfection exercise at the Central Mosque in Abu Thokan. He stated a committee will be put in place to ensure the new changes are respected to ensure Muslims are safe from the coronavirus.
Now, in that situation, we did not in any way want to put any pressure on government to ease the restrictions. Our point was that we allow government to do a very good assessment of the environment and assessment of the risk involved whenever it is eased. But if in the evaluation of the government comes to the conclusion that time is ripe for the restriction to be eased, then we have no problem. The important thing is that what is left for us to do is to look at the preventive measures and adhere to them, i.e., one of them is the disinfection which is taking place. Another one is making sure that at the entrance of our worship places, we make sure that there is disinfectant, i.e. sanitizers, or the Veronica bucket, where every person will be examined or wash his hand before, and then the temperature gun will also have a volunteer who will be placed there to ensure that we are checking the temperature. We also want to make sure that our ablution bay, the ablution bay is well disinfected, and arrangement are such that no two people will use the same watering can for ablution. We have a tap where once any person finishes, there's a way to disinfect the tap such that the next person can also use. Thirdly, we know that we have a permanent spread of our mats in the mosque, meaning that when one devotee prays, the next devotee might also take the same position. So if the place has been infected, he's most likely to catch the infection. What it means to us is that then we're going to encourage everybody comes with one person, one prayer rag. One person, one prayer rag, which belongs to you. You finish, you take it away. In fact, we are even encouraging personal water cans for Muslims who come to public mosques like this one, that you come with your own water can. You perform your ablution, you carry it away. So these are the things, the protocols that we intend to put together and announce to larger Muslim community so that whether the restrictions is there or not, at least then we have a certain kind of protocol we have put in place. Yeah.
By what you're saying, do you think you'll be able to implement this? Do you think you'll be able to implement this if the restrictions, are eased and you're allowed to go back to the mosque to pray?
If all these measures are, if the restrictions are eased, I'm sure the duty lies on us. The duty lies on us to make sure that we are implementing all these things. What it means is that we make an arrangement. In fact, we mandate a group of people whose duty, for example, each mosque should have a COVID-19 preventive committee. Each mosque should have a COVID-19 preventive committee. That committee will be mandated to enforce all those protocols that we are putting in place. In fact, this thing will not be limited to the major regional mosques alone. In fact, from the national mosque to the regional mosque to district mosque to community mosques and to neighborhood mosques, all these strata will have to be catered for.
There has been talk in recent weeks of the adoption of a COVID-19 immunity certificate for persons for whom it can't be established stand no risk of being infected with the virus. This, proponents say, will enable such persons freely commute and even embark on international travel once they carry a document that affirms their status. But how is that going to impact the world? Virologist and immunologist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology discusses the pros and cons of such an initiative. Dr. Mohammed Mutekla speaks with Love FM's Kwesi Debra.
If your neighbor is infected with COVID-19, and my neighbor is infected, and 90% of us are immune to the disease, then it means 4 out of every 5 people come into contact with a person having COVID-19 will go unscathed. That means the disease is put on a tight leash. So you need about 70 to 90% of the population to be immune to achieve herd immunity. And so we are free. Everybody is free. And therefore we need a certificate. Or we don't.
Immunity passports, if we remember, for yellow fever, when you're about traveling, they said, well, go and get vaccinated, and then you are certified. So when you get to that country, they know that you are immune. So it's something similar that people are calling for COVID-19.
Are you immune for life once you recover from COVID-19? Well, it was reported in South Korea, 260 patients tested positive several days after recovery. And such reports have come from China, Italy, some about 70 days after recovery.
We are aware, all of us, you know it, I know it, that once somebody recovers from COVID-19, the person naturally gains immunity to the virus. People think that once they have recovered, that is it, they never will be infected any longer, but there is no evidence. And that's why they are calling for people to be certified. Now, when they are certified, there are advantages that when they have the immunity passport. For instance, frontline workers. There are a lot of frontline workers with underlying illnesses. We can move these people to backline and put those who are certified, who have recovered from the viruses, to the front line, because the probability that they would succumb to COVID-19 is very thin. Then we want companies to go back to work. So if there are people within those companies who recovered from COVID-19, we could certify them for them to go about their duty normally, so these companies survive, and so on. So there are advantages. There's a big but there. The caveat there is that there is no guarantee that once you are infected with COVID-19, you are immune for life, like for measles and rubella. You know, for measles and rubella or chickenpox, once you survive, you are immune for life. That's not the same for COVID-19. It is still not documented that people who have recovered are immune for life and hence do not pose threats to their neighbors or to their surrounding communities. So that is the caveat. That is one. Another thing is that when you have certified people, then they begin to disregard the public health protocols that the government has put in place. They say, oh, we have immunity, so we want to go and gather in doing so, they flout the regulations and will spread. You have to measure the levels of antibodies before you would know, you would establish a titer or level that are protective. That has not been established yet. And another disadvantage of using immunological assays are that they do cross-react. So maybe COVID-19 antibodies, instead of detecting specific COVID-19 antibodies, serological assays or immunodiagnostics will be detecting MERS-CoV antibodies, which we don't need, or SARS antibodies.
A virus, like the flu virus, mutate over time. So antibodies produced for the previous infection can only provide protection for some time. If SARS-CoV-2, the virus which causes COVID-19, behaves like the other siblings, MERS-CoV or SARS-CoV, then we expect protection from few months to some years. But it can't be for life. To have immunity passport or not to have immunity passport, let science lead the way. My name is Kwesi Debra for Joy News.
Setting up a new business, especially in the COVID-19 era, can be a nightmare as even existing entities struggle to stay afloat. For operators who have had to shut down, they cannot overlook exploring other opportunities to raise money to meet family responsibilities. Joy News' Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin tells the story of a computer service center owner who found new ways to make up for losses caused by the closure of schools.
It is 1 p.m. Thursday. 48-year-old owner of CompuNet Kiddie Center, Edward Kwame Nkrumah, is busy at work.
It was just a day dream. In fact, selling food has become one of my passion. Yes, over the years, I've always had this urge to, sell or prepare food for the masses. And in fact, myself, I am into training. I have a computer school and then also have a kiddie school. But
Edward began this food joint just after the 3-week partial lockdown due to COVID-19.
For about 2 months, you realize that there will be no money in your pockets. And then every money you also have in the bank will be spent. So I kept asking myself, what can I do to survive? Because as I stand here now, I don't know when there's going to be a lift on this public ban or the social gathering. So therefore, the idea just came. Why don't I start a food joint?
It's nice. I like their food, and the way they know the way they treat customers. That's why I always come here. But the way they treat customers is excellent.
The food is affordable. Yeah, I just finished a 10 cedis plate.
Edward set up this school to train kids, but COVID-19 has rendered it redundant due to restriction on public gathering and especially closure of schools. Back to Edward's food joint.
I wouldn't say the sales has been very bad, but I can say that almost every day we are able to make about 200 Ghana cedis plus. At the beginning, people were a bit skeptic about the whole thing. People didn't know what we're doing here, but I think gradually the people in Kumasi are getting to know what we are doing, the taste of our food, and they're enjoying it.
And the location is also good because you can sit outside and enjoy the free air and everything. So I think the place is good, location is fine.
So how did Edward suddenly become a cook?
I didn't actually learn, but I picked it up from my mom, who is a caterer. And being an only son, usually when she gets orders, I am the only person she will call to come and assist. So from time to time, I copied a lot of skills from her. And then also, because I said cooking is my passion, I always want to cook something for friends. So I also decided to do a little bit of research by reading a lot of books, going to the net and researching, and that's where I picked the skills from.
The future, they say, is unknown, and whatever that would happen tomorrow is certainly unknown to a fallible man. Well, the past is perception. The only truth is the present. Another ethical truth is to plan for the future. Exactly what Edward did, though he is aware the future is unknown.
You don't have to keep all your eggs in one basket. There's no way we can do away with food and water. So if there's anything you have to invest, in Ghana now or in this world now, all we do is that you eat, you get sick and you need medicine. These two things, you can't do away with it.
A report by Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin.
Climate scientist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has developed a model to predict meningitis outbreak using relative humidity as proxy. Dr. Isaac Tete of the Environmental Science Department says the absence of data inspired him and his team to embark on a search for ways to foresee occurrence at least 9 months in advance. He says the model will enhance government's effort to fight the perennial disease, which has already killed over 40 people in the Upper West region this year. Prince Appiah has been speaking with Dr. Tete and filed this report.
Meningitis is a bacterial infection associated with several environmental factors such as dusty harmattan winds and low humidity. Over the years, the disease has killed many people, especially in northern Ghana. According to the Ghana Health Service, at least 409 cases of meningitis have been recorded as at April this year, killing over 40 people. Dr. Isaac K. Tete is lead researcher.
The constraints that we have on meningitis data analysis is that we don't have much data across the country and even globally. So what we intend to do as environmentalists or climate scientists is to find proxies for meningitis. And proxies are surrogates. So in place of meningitis data, what environmental variable can you use to make your prediction? Relative humidity and meningitis relate in an inverse relationship. Wherever we have high relative humidity, it is expected that we have low meningitis. And wherever we have low meningitis, we also have high relative humidity and vice versa. So with this situation, then we are using relative humidity as a proxy for meningitis, so that once you don't have data on meningitis, we can simply use relative humidity variability in the atmosphere to predict the onset of meningitis and where the disease is likely to occur.
A government and its partners engaged in vaccination outreach can fully utilize the model to target communities with high risk of meningitis. Dr. Tete says the model is essential for planning purposes because it can predict meningitis occurrence at least 9 months in advance.
In fact, it is seasonal or yearly. So what research can do to augment whatever strategies the government is doing is to make prediction a season ahead of time, because it needs time to organize yourself in logistics and so on and so forth. And therefore, what we can do is we are currently in 2020, so we want to see the climate outlook in 2021. Nobody is there, but we can use this modeling approach to make a prediction of the state of the relative humidity in 2021. If we are able to spot areas that are having low relative humidities, it is anticipated that these are the regions that will be vulnerable to the disease. So once you make that information ahead of time, then the Ministry of Health, in consultation with other stakeholders, will start planning for the episode ahead of time, instead of waiting till last minute and it takes everyone by surprise.
Meanwhile, Dr. Tete says more resources are needed to support research such as this to address environmental challenges. The scientist says the department is ready to collaborate with relevant state agencies to adopt and apply the model to put health authorities ahead of the disease. Prince Apia reporting.
Medical facilities in Kumasi are receiving a boost from city authorities in their fight against COVID-19. Technical advisor and liaison officer of the Metropolitan Response Team says complaints by these facilities of a shortage of medical consumables such as intervention make such interventions critical. Dr. Enes Kwaku spoke at the presentation of a package to Dakopong Hospital at Adako Jachi.
Dr. Kwaku believes reaching out to private healthcare providers will bring relief as many patients fall on them for care due to pressure on public facilities.
Really important to support private facilities. You know, in development, if some are lagging behind and you pull them along, then we can all be scored together as developing. This COVID has shown us that you cannot leave anyone out. In fact, we share a common humanity. And the way to succeed is to pull everybody along. Indeed, KMA has a policy of supporting private hospitals for some reasons. One is that private hospitals are the first point of call for anybody living in the community who has any kind of ailment. And this COVID, because the symptoms can be so varied, they are at risk.
Director of Dakopong Hospital, Professor Kwabena Danso, urges the public to take personal responsibility to protect themselves and others of COVID-19.
I was thinking that from March up to this time, the citizens would have learned to a very high extent how to regularly wash their hands with soap and water, put on the face mask, and also socially distant or physically distant. But what do you see? You go to food, when you are walking around, look at the food sellers. With one food seller there and a lot of people around, no face mask. The trotro, the marketplaces, all those places. So now, the time that we are now talking about easing of these restrictions, if the role or the responsibility of the citizens is not taken seriously to support the process for containment and spread, then it is going to be a very, very catastrophic.
Family planning specialist Dr. Ampon Sapepra encourages Ghanaians to adopt good family planning practices to keep healthy family sizes.
But in the midst of this situation, it's advisable we encourage couples, individuals to still embark on family planning services. COVID interventions, as it didn't put in place, usually allow for intimacy. And these intimate hours allow for sexual activities to go on. Most of these may be unplanned, and that will end up in unintended pregnancies, which in the long run will affect family activities, socio-economic activities.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
And we're taking a break here to bring you more business. Do stay tuned in.
Welcome back to business. My name is Sandra Esinam Apenu. The coronavirus pandemic spans many spheres of the economy, resulting in unemployment and slowdown of businesses. Many institutions have had to change their mode of operation, lay workers off, and venture into other areas of business in order to stay afloat. In the following report, Prince Apia takes a look at how COVID-19 has affected church-dependent businesses.
The coronavirus is affecting the church in a great way. It's like having a company. You are running the company, and for 2 months, you don't have any income.
Pastor Ransford Obeng is head pastor at Calvary Charismatic Center in Kumasi. With a congregation of about 3,000, the church's economic fortunes have dwindled as group worship remains on hold due to COVID-19.
We have more than 15 security officers. They run on shift. We have a media session where they are full-time workers. We have our account office where we employ more than 5 people at the account office. We also have people who take care of the compound is another thing. Some of the pastors have given a wrong impression about the church, thinking that every offering and every tithe that comes go into the pocket of the pastor. It is not true. So if no offering is coming, how can you send this person home saying that I don't receive an offering?
With a staff of 120, the church pays salaries of about 120,000 cedis every month. This is in addition to an annual maintenance cost of over 200,000 cedis.
We have over 120 people that the church every month give them something. So if for 2 months the church is not running, no income is coming, what do you do with these workers?
CCC, like many other churches, is feeling the effects of the pandemic because economic activities have slowed down. Businesses that rely on the church to survive are all reeling under similar situation due to church inactivity. Ban on social gathering also means no programs, and by extension, no or little outdoor or mass media advertisement. Anita Kuma is the chief executive of Hype Advertisement, who says churches constitute about 70% of outdoor advertising contract and revenue.
So we're losing rent money for advertisers who would officially rent our boards. We're losing designer money. We're losing lots of money because now people are not advertising. People are not renting the boards. Most of our clients who are pastors, we have schools who would come to us for design works are not coming.
The churches also work closely with printers. For the printing industry in Kumasi, for instance, the church is next to schools in patronage of print services. Peter Insia is a printer at Amekum.
Taking the Catholic Church, for example, they do a lot of printing. When we take Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, in the Methodists, their hymn books, their weddings, their funerals, programs, the posters, everything. The church helps the printing industry a lot when we come to printing. Yeah.
If you're ranking the institutions that give you a lot of jobs, where would you put the church?
As we put the printing of schools materials at first, then I hope the church will come at second or third. Even there are some pastors who have printed a lot of books. Half of the money we can't quantify, but it's a lot. We are losing a lot from the churches because of this pandemic.
The contribution of the church to the local economy extends to taxes. Over 100,000 cedis of pay as you earn or payee tax was received this time last year. But as at March this year, not even a quarter of that amount has been paid. Samuel Sechidodo is Assistant Commissioner for the Ghana Revenue Authority in Kumasi.
Some also written that the other closing down or temporary closing down or waiting for federal government directives before they can. So we shouldn't wait for their taxes because that they don't intend coming to pay. Significantly, it's over 100,000 here in my particular office. They paid something significant, but this year they haven't paid a quarter of it yet.
It is obvious the impact of the COVID-19 has been devastating. Like many businesses and churches, CCC won't be able to pay salaries for the next 3 months if the restrictions persist over the period.
In fact, we can go up to 3 months because we are now using our reserve money that we saved for emergency. But how long can you go if you have no income coming in?
It is therefore obvious that the church also contributes significantly to the local economy, and the impact of the COVID-19 is seriously affecting them as well. For Joy Business, Prince Apia reporting.
Indeed, the coronavirus is really biting hard. That was an interesting report by Prince Apia. Moving on, Toyota Ghana says it has postponed assembling of its cars in the country until the COVID-19 pandemic normalizes. The Japanese automaker was supposed to commence assembling some of its cars locally as part of a broader company strategy. But head of sales operations at Toyota Ghana, Andrew Lamte, says this plan has been put on hold. He was speaking at the launch of Toyota's latest salon car.
Toyota Ghana
one of the automobile industry giants, has yet again outdoored two new cars for car lovers. The new 2020 edition of Toyota Corolla and the latest edition with a local name dubbed Toyota Eja are now available for purchase. According to the head of sales operations of Toyota Ghana, Andrew Lamte, they currently hold over 30% of shares in the automobile space in the country, and this is visible on the road when out of every 10 cars, Toyota brand dominates.
Main reason why we gathered here today was to introduce to you our newest version of saloon cars, which is the Toyota Agya, popularly known as the Toyota Eja. It is the father of all the A-segment vehicles, and Toyota Ghana is announcing the arrival of the Toyota Eja. So the Toyota Eja is going for between 80 to 90,000. Now, what we say here is that we have some financial package for anybody who wants to pick one of these vehicles for whatever reason.
He indicated that the COVID-19 pandemic has altered their plan to launch the assembly plant in a...
Unfortunately, due to this COVID-19, there have been some delays because of the closure of our borders. So definitely we couldn't get all the support from the manufacturers. But the manufacturers would issue a statement once the borders are opening and the clear modalities and the progress will be made available to all of us.
The managing director indicated in his speech that the new cars were carefully made after thorough research and public survey. Fred Duho reporting for Joy Business.
A look at how trading activities ended on the commodity markets now, and crude oil ended on a positive note, trading at $34.86 a barrel. Gold went for $1,735.15 an ounce. Ends business with me for the week. My name is Sandra Esenam Up, and you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Do enjoy your weekend, but stay home, stay safe, and stay beautiful. Thanks for watching.
We've been doing a lot of COVID introspection here on Joy News. Impacts on churches, on football, on agric, on what's been the impact on ex-footballers. And so you might have the opportunity to do that. Welcome to the Sport on Prime. I'm Gary Al Smith, and this weekend on Joy Sports, this is what we have for you. On Joy FM, yes, it went up on our Twitter. Tomorrow on the Joy Sports link, we have Sami Osei Kufuor, former Supersport pundit, former Ghana international, at 12:10 p.m. Please join Nathaniel Atto. And then on Sunday, the big one, Tony Yaboa at 5 p.m. on Joy FM. So this is on radio, and then we play them later on television. Join us for those interviews. But to normal stuff. And as we told you yesterday, Asante Kotoko have had a new board of directors, 9 of them in all, plus Dr. Kwame Chie, the executive chairman. In reaction, Kwame Banoakun, who used to be part of the Kotoko setup, has urged the new board to appoint competent persons into the CEO position.
Now appointing a qualified chief executive with corporate minded. The chief executive is set targets by the board. He's giving funding, set targets, even including fundraising targets. If you want to be chief executive of Kotoko, you should be able to tell us how you are going to generate money, probably through the support base. Use the fund base as a ready source of funding. But I can assure you that you need to be convincing the supporters why they should put money into the club. You need to show them projects, the direction that you want to go, infrastructure. Kotoko supporters rely on hope that things will be well in the future. So if you are telling them we are going back to Adachi, we are going to build infrastructure that will serve the club for the next
50 years. So bring money for us to do that. That will allow us to also invest in the playing body to allow us to compete well on the field of play.
5 days ago, the Deputy Minister of Sports was right here in the studio. Perry Kujetu said that the government of Ghana is not considering sports as part of the government stimulus package. However, the PRO of the Sports Ministry says the government has not neglected sporting disciplines in Ghana.
The coronavirus pandemic has resulted in the suspension of all sporting activities across the globe, including the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo. A statement signed by Kenneth Annan, Public Relations Officer of the Sports Ministry, said, contrary to reports that his outfit has neglected the sporting sector in the wake of the pandemic, it is rather developing packages that would cushion the sector, adding it will soon be made public. According to the ministry, it had met various stakeholders on how to handle the situation and would inform the public in due course.
Right. So after all is said and done, tomorrow, like I said, we'll be speaking to Sammy Osei-Kuffour. So if we could go back to our Twitter to see Nathaniel Atto go to speak to Sammy Osei-Kuffour earlier today.
Sammy Tukalaman, how you doing, my brother? Great. Sammy Osei-Kuffour, one of the finest defenders Ghana has ever known. On Saturday on the Joy Sports Link, we are going to have you there, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be there just to make it fun.
Great.
And have a great moment.
Great. So I'm looking forward to the fun, and I'm looking forward to the great moments.
Oh, okay.
Have a great time, my brother. You too. So there it is. Sammy Osei-Kuffour will be my guest on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Remember, we'll be streaming live on YouTube, and you have to catch all of the action right there. 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for this I'm talking about.
So that's it for sports for today and this week. I'm Gary Alsmith. Please join us tomorrow for Sammy Kuffour's interview, and then Sunday for Tony Eboa on Joy FM. Bye-bye.
And it's time now for the interactive segment. You've been following news of a black man who was killed by a white police in the U.S. The white man police has been giving third-degree murder. He's been charged with a third-degree murder, and you've been following how Chauvin and how Floyd, the black guy, was telling the Minneapolis policeman Chauvin that he was even getting closer to death. He said, and I quote, "I am dying," and he still continued to hurt him and kill him at the end of the day. So sad. How insensitive, how inhumane can people be? When will blacks ever get justice? And this has actually angered a lot of people, and it's led to a protest. If you've been following the news on the international scene, this has not gone down well with a lot of people, and it's so sad. It's something that we should not encourage. Israel is joining me. Israel, how does all of this come to you?
Police officer seen in the video with his knee on George Floyd's neck has been arrested, and he faces charges of third-degree murder and manslaughter. Now, my worry is that I have friends and relatives in the U.S., and I fear that they're coming under attack and that they're not safe in that country. I worry. I'm trying to imagine how they're going to cope and how or what they should do to ensure that they keep themselves safe. I was speaking with a friend this afternoon. I was telling my friend, you know what, I think you should have cameras all over you, any point in time. I pray that we can keep them safe, or they feel safe there. But that'll be it for the bulletin from here in my home. I'm Israel Lai. Back to you, Aisha.
And my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Let's hope that this never happens to any other black man. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.